Hey guys, it's so awesome that God's given us an introduction and invitation into his very presence. He beckons us to what the Bible calls prayer. And prayer is not a religious, cold, formalistic duty. It's a relational invitation to connect. And in Matthew 6:6, Jesus says, "But you, when you pray," it's very specific, and then it's not if, but when you pray. And in the context of this chapter, he's having to correct hypocritical attitudes about behaviors of praying to gain attention and be honored by people for how spiritual, in this case, the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees were. And he called it hypocritical because they were operating from behind a mask. Hypokrisis means behind a mask. And they would have understood that in the Greek language as a reference to what they did in the amphitheaters when the actors would perform plays for the population. They had these mechanically controlled masks that would smile or frown or make facial expressions because they didn't have, of course, LED screens or even PA systems. So they had it set up where they could see from the top seats, and they would manipulate behind the mask and smile or frown. And he's saying, come out from behind that and come into my presence. And in fact, it says here, but when you pray, go into your inner room. Now, up right before it says that the hypocrites love to stand and pray in the synagogues or on the street corners so that they may be seen by men. So really, the heart of Christianity is that we be seen of God. Man looks at the outward appearance. God looks at the heart. We want to be heart people. Jesus is saying that very same thing here to the early disciples. He's saying, make this a heart thing. Make this a real thing, an expression of your relationship and devotion to God. And he says such an interesting opposite of the street corners and the synagogue or the amphitheater or the stage to be noticed. He's saying, but you, when you pray, go into your inner room. Go into your inner room. Close your door and pray to your Father who is in secret. It's such a interesting, in the structures of homes in this Bible period, they had patios, they had porches, similar to what we have. They had living spaces, bedroom spaces, and they had something called inner rooms that were, they didn't have windows, I suppose. And going into it says in the King James, your closet, and close the door. This speaks of doing it God's way, going about it God's way, being in God's space. And I think this might be the most fun there is in Christianity right here. One of the most fun zones is the secret place. Psalm 91, King James says, he that dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So it's a special, intimate connection that, he says, but you, when you pray. Now, I'm reading from E.M. Bound's book on prayer, and he says it is to the closet Paul directs us to go. Now here Jesus is directing us to the prayer closet, but E.M. Bounds, the 1850s, 1860s chaplain during the Civil War, he writes that the unfailing remedy for all burdensome, distressing care is prayer. The place where the Lord is at hand is in the closet of prayer. There he is always found, and there he is at hand to bless, to deliver, to help. The one place where the Lord's presence and power will be more fully realized than any other place is the closet of prayer. Now, I love the anointing on the altar, during communion, or during preaching, or I love the anointing at a water baptismal service. I like the anointing at a out public praying out loud at the end of a service or a prayer meeting. But I think what Ian Bounds is saying is correct. And I think that, of course, Jesus, when he tells us, but you, when you pray, go into your prayer closet. This morning I got up early, had a cup of coffee, went outside. It's autumn here now at this time of the year, and it was chilly, but the sun was coming up over the trees. There's still leaves on the tree out there, and that was my closet. It was the canopy of the clouds and the trees, and it's that private, secret place. So close the door means turn off your cell phone, turn off the television, tune into him, have conversation with him about whatever concerns you, and he has his ear inclined to your prayers. God bless you.